I will say now that just men, black men, period, I will say I feel like I personally feel like they are very sensitive, but I also feel like they have a reason to be. Like, and I am I'm such an advocate for women, but like just watching the black men what they go through on a daily basis, and then it's just like all the words are a lot of the words already against them, and then when they come home, not in all cases, but in some cases, as far as the communication that we were talking about earlier, they getting beat down by their woman too. So it's just like,
Uh,
what do you want me to do? Like I'm trying to leave. I'm trying like because and to be honest, like I guess what he said earlier as far as knowing how to lead. Black men don't know how to lead. They thrown into this just like we are. We just figured out a little bit quicker than them. And so to put that type of pressure on one person to make sure they're the leader, make sure that the good men that they say that they are going to be, it's like they don't have a time to go. They just can't do that.
well, I think that you're okay. So when we talk about leader, everybody wasn't meant to be a leader. I get that.
I get
But but but
absolutely.
but, but you gotta have some class about yourself. You gotta have some standards for your penis. You gotta have some standards for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go dipping your body in everything and just say open. I mean, they don't care you're homeless. They don't care if you as long as she homeless with a big butt. You feel me? Like
I,
you gotta have some standards. Like
Shan,
everything. Listen,
how dare
anything,
you? We have
anything
standards.
but I think
listen, anything that comes easy to you, it's not the reason I said it because I'm seeing this in the chat, like saying like, but they just give it out the box. Anything that's easy to you is not. It's sometimes it's just not good for you. You should not let it ruin your. It's this stuff is ruining black men's lives. It's ruining lives.
but when
You
you think about it, when you think about it, and you like, if you really did like the work as far as like looking at why they're doing it, they're lonely. They're missing something. They don't love themselves. That's not an excuse, but because they don't talk about their feelings in the sense of like when they with their boys, they're not talking about their feelings like that. Like that whole panel, the whole panels in this last year or so since COVID hit. That's when conversations when men start getting together, start having conversations. But prior to that, they weren't talking about their feelings. They weren't trying to figure out why I'm like this. And their fathers didn't do it. Their fathers didn't do it. They don't know how to communicate their actual feelings. They just watch and figure out what's to do next. But they don't have good leadership to say, hey, this is how it's supposed to be. That's been gone. That's been gone since like the 70s, the 60s and 70s.
blackout.
So
Say she blacked out. Like
here's a
blackout.
mic drop.
And
Um,
Paul,
so I don't agree with that. I think the pandemic has allowed women to start to see it. But the one thing I know about black men is that barbershop they be talking about anything and everything. You if I don't know if you've ever been to a beauty salon that's attached to a barbershop, they be talking about their feelings in there. It's a group conversation, right? I think what the pandemic has done is this is the first time where it's kind of like drawn the curtains and allowed women to start to see what conversations amongst men look like. But I want to circle back to what AP was saying. AP, I don't think you're wrong, right? With the example that you gave, I think that happens a lot. And at the same time, in our current society, we need to start understanding that the people who are loud are not always the majority.
I
The
agree.
people who make the most noise are not always the people that represent everybody. And like
I agree with that.
sometimes we have to hear the feedback and just keep pushing anyways, right? And I hate that, like, you know what? I was going to use a white example. Let me use a black example, right? When Jay-Z came out with Tidal, the conversation was there's all these other platforms that are already bigger. There's already this, there's already that. Do you think he listened to that? Absolutely not. It's still not the biggest platform, but the artists are paid the highest on there. It has the most exclusive content. It was still bought into by not only people in the US, but in other countries as well once they started to open that up. It was more expensive and people were still spending their money there. Like at some point, we have to get off of this idea of pleasing everybody and do the things that are best for the community. And what's the statement? Build it and they will come. Like we just need to adopt that mentality because the moment we start to seek approval for everybody, we stagnate. We stop
I,
doing the things that progress the community, but you're right in your example that people are going to do that. You just have to ignore it.
I agree, but we have to have buy-in from other people in the community. So if we don't have any buy-in, then no matter what agenda we're trying to push, it will fall flat. Just like the example I gave, it pretty much fell flat once they decided to chew into it, because we don't have to take the black man serious because the black woman decided that this isn't good enough. And that's actually kind of what happened with that. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. We do have to have buy-in.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Is like the people who are vocalizing their disdain are overriding the people who are going to buy in, because the people who are going to buy in are just going to quietly slide you the money. They're going to quietly participate. They're going to do what it is that they're going to support in whatever way that they're asking you to. The people who tend to be the loudest tend to make the most noise, but they don't account for the people, right? Like that. I hear what you're saying, and it can be hard, especially when you're on a public platform. But the reality of it is there's so many more people outside of the extremes. There's so many more people who are willing to support and see Black people win and see Black men win and take control and do things for the community than there are the handful of people who are just really loud and obnoxious.
When you're married to somebody, you don't care about people coming at you in your... Well, one thing about a woman, she don't care who she with. You can be in jail. She gonna go to bat for her man. She don't care. That's just noise you screaming in her ear. She don't care if the whole race go against her. At the end of the day, she riding for that dude.
I don't think that's what he means by destroyed.
Oh.
And that I think like.
So what do you think he means by destroyed?
I think he means deleted, and I could be wrong. So if he's still there, like please respond in the chat. But that's the way I read that.
We're not gonna read like that on this show. Mm-mm.
I think it's an important conversation.
Do they really? Do they really?
Well, to be fair, when women get deleted, it's usually their intimate partner. So
right,
regardless of race, that could still stand true. But if he does mean deleted, unfortunately, statistically, the inverse is true, where the men tend to. Y'all heard about that? I think it was last year. The footballer with the white girlfriend who stabbed him a whole lot of times. Yeah,
the Nigerian guy.
Yeah, I thought it was. Thank you for pointing that out. I was like, isn't that the opposite if you're saying delete?
I thought it was a YouTube guy or YouTube girl. The YouTube.
Yeah, she was a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Y'all want to bet on this? Y'all want to bet on this?
I mean, it's more than one story, but it definitely was a story on YouTube. And she stabbed her boyfriend and ended up murdering him. But she was very belligerent and talked a whole lot of racial slurs.
Yeah, I seen the elevator video. That shit was crazy. He was really getting domestically abused.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
And still kept his hands to himself. So for all those women who think Black men don't have self-control, there you go. He did. 2 more years till Western civilization collapses. That's a great name. $5. Read the fine print. Black women in America only want to date the top 5% of men. 6 feet tall, 6 figures. 95% of Black men are invisible. It's over.
Women in general want to take only the top 5%. So that's a silly statement. Secondly, no, you're not invisible or no, Black men aren't invisible. Otherwise, we wouldn't have some of the issues in our community that we have with fatherless homes.
Because them broke men giving in, they making babies, so they somebody open their legs to them.
Maybe the women are invisible too, because they ain't getting married. Maybe we're invisible to Black.
So
they ain't getting married.
I really dislike the space when we go hard on one side and the other side is just as culpable or it needs to be held just as accountable as the other side. This is nuts, man. Like, look, never mind. I end up going in on the super chat. I'm gonna stop.
Go ahead. Don't stop talking now. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
No, it's just insane because think about it. We have all of these issues in our community. So there's no way that 95% of Black men are invisible. Secondly, if you are a decent Black man, a decent Black woman will be more than happy to accept you. But the problem is you want to bounce from this decent black woman to 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 this decent black woman, which actually, if we're going to keep it a bean, and I know I'm about to get chewed up in the chat for this,
I got your back.
it it devalues you as a man and your word, because our word is the biggest value that we have. And when you make a promise to this black woman and you break that promise, and you make a promise to this black woman and you break that promise, and you make a promise to this next black woman and you break that promise, hey baby, we're gonna be together forever, let me go ahead and slap them cheeks. That happens a lot. And we never hold ourselves accountable for that. And I think that we should. Like this statement is just simply lacks so much context that it drives me. I don't agree with this shit. Sorry.